Are you feeling the heat of spring and missing the chill of winter? I've got the solution for you. In this Blender tutorial, I'll show you how to create a cozy snowy cabin in a glass jar, perfect for reminding you of the joys of winter. You can now have your very own winter wonderland, filled with chilly weather, snowman, and warm, inviting cabin. Whether you're a seasoned Blender user or a complete beginner, this tutorial is guaranteed to make you feel chill. So grab a cup of coffee, and let's dive into this cozy winter house, no matter what season it is. When you start Blender, you get a cube, a camera, and a lamp. You select the objects by left-clicking on it. Left-click drag over this region will orbit the view. Shortcut to orbit is drag the middle mouse button. Click and drag the magnifying icon to zoom in or out. You can scroll the mouse wheel as well for the zoom function. Dragging the hand icon will move the viewport. And the shortcut to use this tool is to hold down Shift key and press the middle mouse button. Pressing G will turn on Move tool. Move the mouse and left-click to move the object. Right-click will cancel the function. R to rotate. And S will turn on the Scale tool. To select multiple objects, you hold down Shift key and select the objects. And to delete, press X and select Delete. Now I'll head over to Edit menu and then Preferences. Here under Interface, I'll increase the resolution a bit so it'll be easier for you to look at. Then in the System tab, set the Undo step to something high. By doing this, you will be able to use the Undo function that many times. Then if you see a Save Preference button in the bottom, click that. This will tell Blender to remember the settings next time you open it. Now close this window. Also click the drop-down menu over here and turn on Move tool. With this, you won't have to use the G shortcut every time you need to move something. You can left-click drag the arrow to move the selected on an axis. Red represents X-axis, green for Y-axis, and blue for Z-axis. You can also use the tools in the toolbar. Now I'll delete the cube as well, so select it, press X and delete. If you would like to use this preset for future projects, head over to File, and under Defaults, select Save Startup File. This isn't permanent, so don't worry. You can always load the factory settings if needed. Now let's start modeling our cabin. Press Shift+A to bring the Add menu and select Cube under Mesh. Press Tab to switch to Edit mode so we can edit our mesh. And click and drag the blue arrow up to move the cube up on Z-axis. Now press Ctrl and R to activate the Loop Cut tool. Then take the mouse cursor near any horizontal edge. Once you see a yellow preview loop, left-click to make the cut. Then click the right button to stop it from moving. Press 2 to turn on edge selection. Select the top central edge, move that up by dragging the blue arrow. Now press 3 for face selection. Orbit the viewport and select the bottom faces by left-clicking and dragging. Press S to activate the Scale tool, then press Y to scale down only on Y-axis. Press 1 for vertex selection and select the bottom corner vertex. Shift+S to bring the Snap Pie menu and select Cursor to selected. Tab to switch back into object mode. Press Shift+A and add a mesh plane. Enter edit mode of the plane and scale it down by pressing S. Now press E to extrude the plane up. And drag the green arrow to slide the top part of the mesh. Now in object mode, if you press Ctrl+2, Blender will add Subsurf modifier to the selected mesh. This adds more geometry to the object, but in doing so, changes the shape. We will have to add edge loops to control the corners and edges. So switch to edit mode, press Ctrl+R, and bring the cursor near any vertical edge to make a horizontal edge loop. Left-click to make the cut, and right-click so it doesn't move. Now press Ctrl+B to bevel this loop. Now add one vertical loop cut. And then bevel that as well. One more vertical loop on the side, and bevel that as well. Switch back to object mode by pressing Tab. Now we want similar columns on all 4 corners. Instead of making new ones, we can mirror this one. Head over to Modifier Properties. Under Add Modifier, select Mirror. We can choose a mirror object by clicking on the Picker tool and selecting the house. Right now it's only on X-axis. We can click on Y so they mirror on Y-axis as well. Now select the house, enter its edit mode with tab. Turn on face mode with 3, and select the top faces. You will have to hold down Shift key while selecting to select multiple parts. Shift plus D to duplicate the faces, and right click so they stay in the same place. Now I will separate them from the main object, so press P and select selection. Back in object mode, they are now two different meshes. Select the new roof mesh and press tab to enter its edit mode. Press A to select all. Press S to scale that up a bit. Then drag the blue arrow down a bit. Press Alt plus E to bring the extrude menu, and select extrude along normals. Then left click after extruding up a bit. Switch back to object mode and press Ctrl plus 2 to add the subsurf modifier. And then in edit mode, Ctrl plus R to add a loop cut. Right click so it stays at the center, and then Ctrl plus B to bevel. We need more loops to make the edges over here a bit sharper, so Ctrl plus R to add a loop cut. Then before confirming the position with left click, slide the loop. And back in object mode, right click and select shade smooth. Now select the column, and in its edit mode press Alt plus Z. This will enable the X-ray view. With this enabled, we can select the vertices on the other side as well. Press 1 for vertex mode and select the vertices on the left side. And move them up a bit to conceal them under the roof. In edit mode of the roof, press 3 for face selection and select the faces on the left. Shift plus D to duplicate them, and right click to cancel the movement. Then press P and select selection to separate it from the main mesh. Tab to exit edit mode. Select the new one and tab to enter its edit mode. Press A to select all of it, and then S to scale. Press X while scaling so it scales only on X-axis. Now extrude the faces with E. Now add a loop in the middle with Ctrl R. And then bevel that loop with Ctrl B. Now select the horizontal loop at the bottom by holding Alt and left clicking on it. Then press G twice to slide it. Do the same with the loop on top as well, or left click to select and press G twice to slide. Switch back to object mode. Now instead of duplicating the traditional way, we will use array modifier. Increase the count to cover the whole roof. Change the X offset to have some distance between them. Hold down Shift key while doing that for precise increments. If you change anything on the original mesh, all the rest will also be affected. So if you want to edit each of them separately, you will need to apply the modifier. Now in edit mode, select the bottom faces on the roof. I want them to move to the direction they are facing, but we don't have that option currently. So select the normal option from above. And then drag the arrow which is showing the required direction. If you do this, you will then also need to select the control loops on each of them, and bring them down too. However, let's undo this step, and use Ctrl and numpad plus button to increase the existing selection, and drag down. If you don't have a numpad, you can head over to Select Menu and select More under Select More or Less. Now switch back to Object Mode, and press the -X button in the gizmo over here to switch to Left Ortho View. Now press Alt plus D to duplicate, then R to rotate, 180 for 180-degree rotation, and Z for the Z-axis. Duplicating using Alt D instead of Shift D will mean, if I change any one of them, both get affected. Change the orientation back to global, so we don't face any problems later on. Now select all the objects in the scene, and then select the base house last. Press Ctrl+P and select object to make that the parent. With this, all the child objects will follow the parent object. With the parent selected, press S to scale it. While scaling, press Shift+C to restrict scaling on Z-axis. Bring the mouse cursor to the center of the house, and press Shift plus right-click to place the 3D cursor there. Then add a mesh plane. And press R, 90, and Y to rotate it 90 degrees on Y. In edit mode, scale it down. Then press S again and then Z to scale it up on Z-axis. Move it down a bit. Now press E to extrude it to the front. Alt+Z to enable X-ray mode. And select the bottom face. Press X and delete the face. Alt+Z to exit X-ray. And now with the front face selected, press I to inset the face. While doing that, press B to toggle the boundary on or off. To extrude, and then delete the bottom face created. Back in object mode, press Ctrl+2 to add subdivision modifier. And in edit mode, add loop cuts and slide them to make the edges a bit sharper. Now switch to left ortho view, and then turn on X-ray with Alt+C. Here with vertex mode on, let's distort the door shape a bit. Click and drag over the bottom vertices to select them, then S to scale them down. Then move the corner vertices. Just selecting them and moving doesn't look that nice. So turn on proportional tool with O, and select one of the vertices in the corner. Then press G to move, and use mouse wheel to adjust the circle of influence. Now select the central face, and increase the selection with Ctrl plus numpad plus button. Duplicate, and bring it to the front. Make sure proportional tool is turned off first. Extrude the door a bit, and then add a loop cut to fix the bottom. In object mode, with 3D cursor set to the right side, add a UV sphere in its operator panel. Change segments to 16 and rings to 8. Then set the Y rotation to 90 degrees. Scale it down in edit mode. In the front view of the house, place the 3D cursor above the door. Then add a cylinder. In its operator panel, set the number of vertices to 8, and then Y rotation to 90. Scale it down in edit mode. And then scale it down on X-axis. Now select the front face. And turn on X-ray with Alt+C. And Shift select the face on the other side as well. Press I to inset both of them. Then press Ctrl+E to bring edge menu, and select bridge edge loops. Switch to object mode and press Ctrl+2 to add subdivision modifier. Then add loop cut over here and slide it to the front. Add one more loop inside the ring. Now add a cube and scale it down. Turn on face selection with 3. Then Alt left click on the side face to select face loop. Then press Alt+E to bring extrude menu and select extrude individual faces. Add loop cuts to make the edges sharper. And with everything selected, you can press Alt+S to make the shape fat or thin. Now add a mesh circle. And in its operator panel, set vertices to 8, Y rotation 90 degrees. Fill type to N-gon, and lower the radius as well. Drag the red arrow to bring it forward a bit. To select object inside edit mode, you have to select a part of that object and press the L key. Enter edit mode of the house mesh. With face selection enabled, select the right side face. And duplicate the face with Shift+D. Scale down the face. Press P and select Selection to separate it. Enter Edit Mode of the new model. Extrude the face. Alt+Z for X-ray view. Select the front and back faces. Then I to inset them. Then Ctrl+E for Edge menu, and select Bridge Edge Loop. Now press Shift+S to bring the Snap Pie menu, and select Cursor to Selected. Now add a cube. Scale the cube down. Or left-click to select Side Face Loop. Then Alt+E and extrude individual faces. With cursor over the cube, press L to select it, then R and X to rotate it on X-axis. Add a subdivision modifier to it in Object Mode, and add loop cuts to it inside Edit Mode. Now add a plane and rotate it 90 degrees on X-axis. Then rotate a bit more on same axis. Now scale the plane down. And instead of introducing loop cuts to fix the shape, we can press Shift+E for Edge Crease option. And move the mouse all the way to get one. Select the house and enter its edit mode. Select the top roof face and Shift+D to duplicate, then P and selection to separate it. Back in object mode, select the new model. Since multiple objects are overlapping, it's difficult to select the one we need. So Alt+ left click over it. This will give us a list of all the objects under the first one. Since we have to select the object we created last, it will be cube number 5. Now switch to X-ray and then enter edit mode. To scale that down. Let's move this up a bit on Z-axis. Then E to extrude up. From the front view of the house, move the face to the left. Now press E to extrude and then press right-click to cancel the movement. Then S to scale up the created face. And extrude that up again. To rotate it a bit. Add a subdivision modifier to it in object mode. And then add loop cuts in edit mode. Also select the top face, I to inset it, and extrude down, and scale down the bottom. Press Shift+S to bring the Snap Pie menu, and select Cursor to World Origin. Then Shift+A and add a metaball. Press S and Z to scale it down on Z-axis. Then scale it up on X and Y by pressing S and Shift+C. Move down a bit. Now Shift-D to duplicate and scale the copy down. As you can see, when they are near each other, they seem to connect. In a similar way, you can keep adding more to create the terrain. And down in the metaball properties, you can change the resolution to get a nicer look. Place the cursor in front of the house and add a circle. In its operator panel, set the vertices to 16. Scale it down in edit mode, and then extrude it up. Scale down a bit on the top, and press F to fill up the face. Now Alt left click on any bottom edge to select the edge loop. Then head over to Select menu and select Checker Deselect. This will deselect every alternate edges. Now E to extrude these edges down, press Z while doing that. And S to scale them up. Add a subdivision modifier in object mode, and then back in edit mode, add a horizontal loop cut and slide it to the top. Add another one in the center and scale that down. For increasing the thickness, we can use solidify modifier. So in the modifier properties, add a solidify modifier. And drag and drop the subdivision modifier under the solidify, so that the subdivision happens after the thickness. Increase the thickness from the slider. In X-ray mode, we can select parts and scale them down or up to fix the silhouette. After scaling up the bottom vertices, don't deselect them. Head over to Pivot Point menu and select individual origins. Now if you scale down, each of the extensions will scale down individually. We can go a step further and select vertices randomly, and press G twice to slide them up for variations. Exit edit mode and then / to exit local view as well. Press R to rotate and R twice for free rotation. Alt plus D to duplicate, move it up, scale down, and rotate. Shift select the bottom one, Control plus P, and select object to make that the parent. Now let's add a camera to our scene. Shift A and select camera. If you click on the camera icon on the right toolbar, you enter camera view. To capture the scene, we need to point the camera toward it. Click on the camera icon again to exit. Now head over to View menu and under Align View, select Active Camera to View. We can now change the frame size in the output properties. Set the X and Y to 1080 for a square image. With the camera still selected, press G to move it. Try to bring the scene in the center. Once done, press G again, and the middle mouse button to zoom in. Now bring the mouse cursor to the edge, and when you see the double-sided arrow, right-click. Select vertical split, and left-click where you want to make the cut. You can still adjust the size by left-click dragging when you see that arrow. Now let's clear the first editor of unwanted tools. With the cursor in the first editor, press T to hide the toolbar. Then take the cursor above in the tool menus, and scroll to see the menus on the right. Hide the gizmos, and then disable the overlays. Scroll to zoom in. Place the 3D cursor over here and add plane. / to enter its local view, and then in its edit mode, scale it down. To extrude it up. And back in object mode, Ctrl 2 to add subdivision modifier. Now add a loop cut in the middle, and then Ctrl plus B to bevel it. Add one vertical loop in the side, and bevel that with Ctrl B. One more vertical loop, and bevel that as well. One horizontal loop in the middle, and scale that down. Now press 3 for face selection and select the top face. E to extrude that up a bit. And then S to scale. E to extrude again and S to scale down. Add a plane. Scale it down in edit mode. Then scale down a bit on Y-axis. And E to extrude up. Add a vertical loop in the middle and move it on the Y-axis. Switch back to object mode and move it to the right. Add a subdivision modifier to it, and in edit mode add vertical loop on the left and slide it. Add one on the right. Then add one loop for the top and one for the bottom. By turning on X-ray, you can select the top middle vertices and move that up a bit. Now / to exit the local view and select both objects. Rotate them a bit on Z-axis. First make sure the pivot point is set back to median. Now duplicate the board, move it to the right, and rotate. Now duplicate the post and place it after the second board. Now select both the boards and the post. Duplicate them and place them after the second post. Now select all parts of the fence and press Ctrl+J to join them together. Now Shift+D to duplicate and move it to the other side. Inside edit mode, you can select a part of the object and press L to select that. Rotate and move different posts and boards so that they look better in the camera. They don't necessarily have to connect. With the 3D cursor over here, add a UV sphere. Scale it down and shade it smooth. Press Shift-D to duplicate. Move that up and scale down. Select the bottom one, S to scale, and Shift+Z to restrict Z-axis. Click on the red button with -X to switch to left ortho view, then enter its local view. Place the 3D cursor over the eye region. Add another sphere. And in its operator panel, set the number of segment to 16 and rings to 8. Scale it down and smooth it out as well. Shift+D to duplicate and press Y to move on Y-axis. Duplicate again to create the nose. Press S and X to scale up on X-axis. Then in edit mode and X-ray view, select the half part. And delete the vertices. To make the nose thin, we can press S and then Shift+X, so it scales down only on Y and Z. Back in the left ortho view, duplicate the eye and place it on the tummy. Duplicate and place it just under. Then Shift+R multiple times to repeat the steps. Now click on the green Y button to switch to back ortho view, Alt-C for X-ray view. And drag the buttons to the right. Place the cursor up and add cylinder. Set the number of vertices to 8. And in edit mode, scale it down. Then scale it down on Z-axis. Press 3 for face selection. And select the top face. Inset that with I. And E to extrude up. Add subdivision modifier to it. Then add loop cuts to make the edges sharper. And inset the top and bottom faces. Exit local view. And then align the hat to center in top view. Place the cursor on the arm region. And add a cylinder. Scale it down in edit mode and then rotate. Select the side face and then drag it to the right. Scale it down. Then E to extrude. And R to rotate it. Press Shift plus S to bring Snap Pine menu, and select Cursor to selected. Then add a sphere. Scale that down, and rotate it a little bit. And back in object mode, duplicate it. Press R 180 and Z to rotate it, and move it to the left. Now select all the parts with body selected at last. Press Ctrl plus P and select object. Press A to select everything, then hold Ctrl and left-click drag over the camera to deselect it. Press R and Z to rotate the whole scene. And then I'll move it to the right. To add snow, we will need to turn on an add-on called Real Snow. You don't need to download it from some other place. It already comes packaged with Blender. Head over to Edit menu above, select Preferences. Then select Add-ons. Now search for Real Snow. Make sure it's enabled, and close the window down. If you see a Save Preferences option down in the bottom left, click that so you don't have to turn it on again. Now to access the add-on, press N to bring the side toolbar. Here select the Real Snow. When an object is selected and you press Add Snow, snow will be added to that object. You can delete the snow if you don't like it, and play with its properties. For the roof, I'll go with 70% coverage, 0.1 height, and click on Add Snow. Now select the roof. Switch to its local view and then edit mode. I'll select faces where I need the snow. By introducing loop cuts, we can create more faces. Select the faces, and back in object mode, make sure selected faces is enabled. Set the coverage to 60 and height to 0.40, and then click on Add Snow. I'll keep deleting and re-adding snow till I like the one I need. Once satisfied, exit the local view. Now select the chimney, and with face selection enabled with 3, Alt left click on the face over here to select the face loop. Set the height to 0.4 and coverage to 100. Now select the tree. In its edit mode, press A to select everything. Then height to 0.1 and add the snow. Select the door frame. In its edit mode, select the top faces. And then in object mode, click on Add Snow. This time it didn't work. It may be due to wrong side facing of normals. To check if it's the case, click on the Viewport Overlays drop down and turn on Face Orientation. Now here red color will mean those faces are facing the opposite direction. So enter Edit mode, select the faces. Press Alt plus N and select Flip. Since they are blue now, adding the snow won't be a problem anymore. Now let's remove the subdivision modifier from all the snow objects. This will reduce the total number of geometries in the scene, resulting in faster viewport performance. Right now the metaballs cannot be edited in edit mode, so they need to be converted to a mesh object first. Select all of them. Then right-click and select Convert to Mesh. You can use Proportional tool to make changes to the shape if needed. Then A to select everything. And coverage to 66, and height to the minimum. Add snow. Since this added a lot of geometries to the scene, I will go ahead and remove the subdivision from the snow. And in edit mode, delete all the vertices which won't be visible from the front. Instead of box selecting, you can also use Circle tool for easier selection. Simply press C to enable it, then draw over the object to select the parts. Use left click for this, and to deselect, Shift plus left click. Clicking the right mouse button will disable the tool. Press Shift plus S and set the cursor to the world origin. Then add a plane. Move it down a bit. And scale it up in edit mode. My proportional tool is still turned on. I will switch it off. Rotate the plane so it faces the camera. Now 2 for edge selection. Select the edge at the back and extrude that up. Exit edit mode and in modifier properties, add a bevel modifier. Here increase the amount value. And then the number of segments. Now in the first editor, click on the fourth sphere to switch to rendered view. We don't have any light in the scene, but the house is still visible, so we can go to world properties and lower the value to minimum. Now press Shift plus A and under lights select area. Move the light up. In the light properties, turn the power to 1000. and move the light up a bit more. Increasing the size will give us a softer shadow. Let's also change the shape to disk. Now in the render properties, I will change the render engine to cycles for better results. Then for faster rendering, I will change the device to GPU. When you do that, head over to Edit, then Preferences, and under System, make sure the GPUs are enabled. Also lowering down the viewport sample to something much lower like 32. Now I will duplicate the light and move that down. Then lower its power and then size as well. To color the models, select them, and then in Material Properties, select New. In the base color, you can choose any color, or if you already know the code, type that in. Every time you do something to the scene, whole scene gets rendered again. If you want, you can press Ctrl+B and drag over a region, so that part only gets rendered. Press Ctrl+B and drag over the whole camera to go back. Now select the house and color it as well. You can increase the roughness to make it less reflective. The snow objects already comes with its material. Now I will select the house columns, snowman, and then the ground snow. Press Ctrl+L and select Link Materials. This will apply the material of the last object selected to all the remaining objects. You can also add material from the drop down over here. Now I want the bottom part of the chimney to be the same color as the house, so I will have to select the faces in edit mode. Then add a new material slot, and hit the Assign button. Now I can choose the house material, and it will be applied to it. For the circular window, I will select the inner face Add a new material slot. Hit Assign and add a new material. Here under Surface, select Emission. Choose a color. Then do the same to the side window. We can add extra light outside the windows to illuminate those regions. Place the 3D cursor near the window and add a point lamp. Move it to the front and then lower down the radius, power, and then change the light color to yellowish. Now duplicate this light and place that near the side window. Another thing you can do is go to Render Properties. Scroll down. Under Color Management, set View to Standard. And look to High Contrast. Bring the Snap Pie menu and select Cursor to World Origin. Then add a cylinder. In its operator panel, set the number of vertices to 8, and in Edit mode, scale it up. Select the bottom face and move that up, then select the top face and scale that down. I to inset it, and E to extrude it up. Then press X and delete the face. In Object mode, Ctrl+2 to add Subdivision modifier. And add loop cuts to sharpen the edges. Add a Solidify modifier. Drag the Subdivision modifier down and increase the thickness. In Edit mode, with Vertex Selection enabled, select a horizontal loop. Shift-D to duplicate it, and right-click to cancel the movement. Scale up a bit. Then press P and Selection to separate it. Exit Edit mode and enter Edit mode of the newly created mesh. A to select everything and E to extrude up. Press Z while doing that. Then F to fill the top face. Add loop cuts. Then select Alternate Loops and scale them down. Now in Edit mode of the container, select a face loop from above. Duplicate it, right-click, scale, and then P to separate it. In the Edit mode of the new mesh, scale up everything on Z-axis. Now switch to Left View. And add a cube. Add Subdivision modifier to it. And in Edit mode, scale it down. Then delete the top and bottom faces. Now scale down it on X-axis. Then switch to Left View. Enter X-ray view. And with Vertex Selection enabled, select the left vertices. To scale them down. Then add loop cuts to the top and bottom. And scale them both up a bit. To select everything and move it to the right. Then duplicate and move the copy to the left. In the center, add another cube and delete its side faces. Now add Solidify modifier to it. Drag the Solidify modifier above the subdivision and increase the thickness. Now move this to the right and R to rotate it. Now select the camera and switch to camera view. Press G and then middle mouse button to zoom out. To move the camera, just press G and bring the whole jar to frame. With the jar selected, add a new material. Under surface, select glass. Lower down the roughness. Now select the lid and add a new material. Then I will lower down the roughness and increase the metallic value. Enter camera view. Place the 3D cursor on the jar and add a plane. In the operator panel, set alignment to view. In the material properties, give this an emission material. Move it to the side. And in edit mode, scale it down. Right-click and select subdivide. Then with vertex selection, select the 4 corner vertices and scale them down. Then in object mode, duplicate the star and change the scale. Make some more duplicates. Now add a circle. Set the vertices to 12, fill type to N-gon and alignment to view. Give this the emission material as well. Move it to the front so it doesn't intersect with the jar. Then adjust the scale and Alt+D to create copies. If you want to edit something in the scene, but this big jar is making it tough to do so, you can change the way how it looks in the viewport display without changing the shading from the rendered view. Head over to Object Properties. Scroll down and under Viewport Display, change display type to bounds or to wire for the same shape. I prefer bounds since you get more free spaces to work with. Now before rendering the image, go to Render Properties and set the render sample to low value as well. This will give us faster render time at expense of render quality. And make sure the denoise option is checked to not get a noisy image. And also save the project, so in case something goes wrong while rendering, the project will still be there. Head over to File, then Save As. Select a file folder where you want this to get saved. Name the project, and hit Save As. Now to render image, go to Render menu, and select Render Image. Let Blender render the image. You can see the progress on top as well as down in the bottom. Then to save the final render, go to Image. Select Save As, name the render. Select File Format from top right, and hit Save as Image. And there you have it folks, a nice, cozy, snowy cabin in a glass jar. Whether you followed this tutorial step by step to create your very first render, or used it as a fun project to keep your Blender skills sharp, I hope this tutorial has provided you with some useful skills and inspiration. Do share your result with the world, and tag me at 3D Greenhorn, so it'll be easier for me to find it. See you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.